In this video, we're going to explain the 3 different offer types that you can use within your land investing business to go generate more deals. What's going on, guys? This is Sumner Healey from landinvestor.co. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, I sell land on the internet. In the last 18 months, I've done a little over $2.2 million in raw land sales. I teach folks how to do the same thing over at landinvestor.co. And ultimately, I make these videos to document my journey and hopefully help others along the way. In this video, we're going to focus on the acquisitions, how we actually go and acquire land, and we're going to discuss the 3 different offer types that you can utilize. Now, for context, for folks that are new here, in our land investing business, we are about 90% direct mail in terms of generating leads. And truth be told, that's how a lot of this industry operates. So these 3 offer types are going to pertain mainly to direct mail. Now, before we dive in, let me provide a little bit of context. All 3 offer types have merit, they have value, there's a time and place to use them. I think it'd be foolish to at least not be aware of the 3 different offer types, and ultimately I think it'd be really foolish to not at least try them within your land investing business. I've run experiments with all 3 offer types, so I've got cold hard data in terms of how they actually perform, and currently we alternate between 2 of the different offer strategies within our business. So the first offer type, and this is what most folks are going to be familiar with in this business, is what we call a blind offer. And as the name implies, this means we're sending out a letter which has an offer price for that property on it. The reason we call it a blind offer is because we're typically doing our pricing with a big data set. So we might be going through 5,000 properties and saying, hey, these are the averages we're seeing in this area. We'll kind of blanket price them, and we'll send that out. The blind offer is always going to be accompanied by a purchase agreement. And this is one of the biggest values that you get from a blind offer is it's incredibly frictionless for the seller. They're going to receive a 2-page offer letter that's going to say, hey, here's our ad copy, here's who we are, this is why you should sell to us. And then there's going to be a purchase agreement on the back end, which would allow them to make a decision right then and there without having to actually call and talk to you. Now, there's 2 reasons we really like this. One, it's very, very efficient for the sellers. We have heard from sellers that they like the straightforwardness of it, they like how simple it is, they like the fact they don't have to call us and negotiate and yada, yada, yada. And on top of it, the second benefit is it's not going to drain your internal resources. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're taking the calls or you have someone internally that's taking the calls, you're going to cut down on that call volume relative to the 2 other offer types because these folks can make a decision without having to reach out to you. You've already done the heavy lifting on the front end with pricing the data. All they need to do is make a decision, sign the purchase agreement, or maybe they're going to call or email just to get some additional context, which is common as you start increasing the offer prices and you're going after bigger and better properties. But especially with the cheap properties, you could get dozens and dozens and dozens of signed purchase agreements from one campaign when you've never even talked to those people. They just said, yeah, we'll just get rid of it, and then sign it, send it back, and then you're off to the races. Now, some of the drawbacks of blind offers is, one, it takes a ton of work on the front end. And what I see with a lot of newer investors is they get so hung up on getting it perfect. Look, if you're pricing 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 blind offers, you're not going to get it right. You have to get over the idea that you're going to somehow perfect pricing for 15,000 different properties. There's too many variables to account for there. Really what you need to do is shoot your shot, work with averages, and just get it out the door. What I tell people is this is just marketing, right? Well, really what we're trying to do here is get people to reach out inbound to us. We want them to give us a call or email us or send us the signed purchase agreement back. We're just trying to get some activity. And if you're holding on to these mailers and you're waiting to get them perfect, you're really going to actually be shooting yourself in the foot. You're going to be delaying the results that you could be getting today if you were just consistently sending out mail. So I see a lot of newer folks getting hung up on this. Now, there is some merit to this. It is agitating to have to go renegotiate with someone after you already made an offer that was too high or too low, whatever it may be, and you have to go back to the drawing board and say, well, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm so sorry to tell you, we do blind offers. We send out a lot of offers. We send them out in bulk, and I'm so sorry. A lot of people don't want to hear that. And that is one of the frustrating things about blind offers is it is really difficult to go back and renegotiate. You've kind of already set an expectation. You've set a precedent that, hey, this is what we can pay. And if you were too high, which is going to be more common than not, it can be a bit agitating in terms of having to go and actually rectify that. Now, also on the flip side, you can be way too low. And what you're gonna get on that is just a boatload of hate. You will get more hate than you know what to do with. And so if you're too high, you're gonna have a ton of renegotiating. If you're too low, you're gonna have a ton of folks that reach out and just wanna chew you out. And in that case, that will be a drag on your internal bandwidth because you're gonna get a ton of people that are reaching out, calling, emailing, texting, but all they wanna do is just chew you out. And that can be agitating. Now in our business, we're about 50-50. We still do use blind offers pretty consistently. Now, if you're a one-man show and you don't have support on the phones, I would advise using the blind offer. It's going to be a little more front-weighted in terms of work on the front end to price it out, but on the back end, it's going to save you a ton of time and a ton of headache in terms of having to take dozens and dozens and dozens of calls for every single campaign that you send out. Typically, the folks that reach out from a blind offer, if you priced it correctly, they're typically pretty darn serious, and they might need a little bit of context in terms of who you are and how the process works, or they might just sign it and send it out to you and you're off to the races. And so in that sense, if you're running running lean and mean and you don't have a team, I would go with blind offers. The next offer type, and this makes up the other 50% in our business, is what we call range offers. And range offers are essentially saying, hey, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, we can pay you between $500 and $1,000 per acre for your 40-acre property. Now in this case, you can either do it on a per acre basis, or if you want to flex a price for the total property, you can just do, hey, we'll pay you $25,000, $45,000 for your 40-acre property, whatever the math is in that case. In our business, we typically do it on a per acre basis in terms of that range offer. Now what's beautiful about the range offer is it's going to cut the time on the front end by a substantial amount. So you're going to spend way less time going through and building out pricing. In fact, you could go and batch 10,000 mailers in a day, where when you're doing that with blind offers, that could take multiple days, if not multiple weeks, until you actually get it right. Now typically for our range offers, we're going to do about a 50% to 100% difference between our low end offer and our high end offer. Now I wouldn't go outside that band, and what I mean by that is I wouldn't go say, hey, we can pay you $100 per acre all the way up to $10,000 per acre, because at that point you're just setting such a wide window, you're going to get all sorts of people reaching out. So we still want to set the precedent that, hey, we're trying to buy the property at a discount, this is the range we can pay in. Call us, we'll do some due diligence on the property, and then we can give you a fully fleshed out offer. Now, what I like about these offers is you are setting the expectation here that negotiating is going to happen, and that's totally okay. And so when you do go back to the drawing board and you have to renegotiate the offer, even if you're renegotiating an offer that's not even within that range, you've already set that expectation, so it's a little bit easier to accomplish. The other reason that I love these offers is because it's really simple to build out the pricing on it. What we've also noticed is you're gonna get a higher yield from these mailers just in terms of direct response. So in terms of inbound interest that you're gonna get a ton more people that are calling in, reaching out. Now, some of those folks are gonna be a terrible fit. There's gonna be no opportunity there. But what we've noticed is if we can get the phone to ring more, we're gonna do more deals. Even if, a good chunk of those people are just totally not serious, totally a waste of time, the more the phone rings, typically the better position that we're in. Now, the drawback here is really simple, and it's really just one point, and that is you're gonna have to spend a lot more time on the phones. I would typically only advise using this if you have an acquisitions manager who can take every single phone call that comes in. The way we have it set up in our business, we have a call center that takes that first call, then they route that information to our team, and then our acquisitions manager goes and actually calls them again, does the negotiating, then takes that deal all the way to the finish line. Now the last offer type that you can use in your business is what we call a neutral letter. And a neutral letter is just saying, hey, I want to buy your property. There's no mention of price, and just like the range offer, there's no purchase agreement attached because there's no mention of price. How could you attach a purchase agreement? Now what's beautiful about these is it takes zero time to do any market research or pricing. You could really just blanket this whole entire country if you wanted to with neutral letters, just saying, hey, we buy land, we might want to buy your property, give us a call. And I've used these. The reason I don't love these is there's no qualification that you're doing by providing some level of expectation in terms of what you can price. Now the reason I don't love neutral letters is that there's no qualification upfront through the letter that's setting an expectation saying, hey, we can pay you within this range. Really what we want to do is we want to tell people that, hey, we are trying to buy at a discount. If you want to sell at a discount in exchange for selling your property quickly, having no closing costs, having no realtor fees, yada, 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 on and on and on, then hey, we're the guys that you should be calling. Now a neutral letter is just so gosh darn broad, and I think you can really get people confused where they think that, you're trying to buy it at retail or higher than retail. So the expectations can typically be off in those first few conversations. You got to do a really good job setting the frame on that first call to quickly qualify or disqualify to figure out if it's even worth exploring further. And on top of that, your phone is going to be ringing off the hook. And yes, I mentioned before that the more the phone rings, the more deals that we're going to do. And that probably still applies here, but you would need a team that is bigger than the team that we have in place and is bigger than most people's team in this business. Because if you're sending out 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 pieces of mail a month like we are, but you're doing it via neutral letters, the inbound response is going to be more than just about any small team can handle. So really at that point, you're going to need multiple acquisitions managers. You're going to need folks that are constantly comping properties, going through their research. I still think there is an opportunity to use neutral letters, but for us, I like to have our marketing do some of the heavy lifting, do some of the qualifying, some of the disqualifying. Really the way I look at it is I want my marketing to do some of the qualifying up front. The way I look at it is we really want our marketing to do a lot of the qualifying for us. And in my experience, the blind offers and the range offers do this very well. With the neutral letters, there's just very little qualifying going on there, and you have to do a lot of that qualification on the back end. Now you might be saying, Sumner, do the math. If you're sending out 20,000 range letters or blind offers, maybe you could cut that down to 10,000 neutral letters, and the excess money that you have from not sending out that additional 10,000 letters, you can use that to pay a team member to have someone full-time on the phone. And I have thought about this, and I think there is merit to that argument. It's not something that I have actually experimented with in my business, so I can't say for certain. But what I do know for certain by managing a team of 8 in our land investing business is that people are difficult. The more people you have on your team, the more people you have to manage, the more heads that you have to keep track of, the more confusion, the more complexity there is. And so for me, I would rather pay a slight premium and invest that in terms of marketing. Our direct mail doesn't cause problems. Our direct mail is never late. Our direct mail is consistent. Where humans, there's more variance there. And so yes, I could route that additional savings that we get from not sending out as many letters to hiring more people, and I could just do neutral letters and they could have people sitting on the phones all day. But honestly, that sounds like a real big headache. So I hope the takeaway here is that all of these offer types work. All of these offer types have merit, and I would advise that you experiment and you pick and choose which works best for you. But the best way to do that is by actually going out there and testing it in the real world. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you're looking for more land investing resources, you can check out our Land Investing Accelerator program in the link down below. And if you're looking for more free land investing content, we've got a large pipeline of videos that are being released every single week on this channel. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.